What's up, everybody? OldSchoolNYCGamer here once again, and to everybody out there, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Feliz Navidad, and whatever holiday, when it comes to Christmas in any other country, you are celebrating it anywhere around the world on this day. So, gonna try to keep this as short to the point as possible. I know a lot of people have been doing Christmas videos. I don't really do the whole Christmas special thing. It's just way too much to do, and between my work schedule and just stuff I have to do, I really don't have the time to do it. So just doing these vlog style videos is more to the point and just easier to upload and edit. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of why I'm doing this video. So of course, it being Christmas, I've seen quite a few other people do their memories of Christmas, and one of them I can't remember, even though it was video game related, was Lum Boy's post 1975 talking about some of his Christmas memories, and there's a couple I could share here, and sadly none of it exists except for one thing, which I'll show you in a minute. First off, I have to say this is back in 1984. Now of course back then only a few of you out there who watch my channel will possibly know what I'm talking about. Not video game related, but cartoon related. And of course back then cartoons, depending on which ones were out back then, had humongous toy lines. Now of course Star Wars being one of the first major movies to have a line, like a long line of toys going on for years. Now this company put out these specific toys from 1984 to 1990, and they were also known as G1 or Generation 1. And of course that being Transformers, if you already don't know that by now. And 1984 was one of those few years I could to this day never absolutely forget. Of course, you'll have those parents, they'll say, oh, we just don't have it, we don't have the money, we're trying to get by. And being, for my upbringing, at a very young age, my family didn't have a lot of money. Of course, a lot of people I knew where I lived didn't really have a lot of money, being in the part of the neighborhood that I lived in Manhattan. But of course, my mom and dad, in pure fashion, just try to dash my hopes, and out of nowhere she tells me Santa left you something, one thing for Christmas. And of course, not even I believe it was maybe a half an hour before midnight. And for some reason, as I was getting a little older, I was watching more Christmas shows just to stay up, just to see if I saw Santa, that kind of thing. And she busted out one of these toys, and she picked one of the first things at random, and it was a G1 Transformer, and I believe it was Bumblebee, believe it or not. Because now, I honestly had to do a little bit of research, because I don't remember every single one of them, but I remember, looking through the information that I was looking through. The first G1s that came out in '84, only 28 at the time, 28 different figures were made, and of course, as the show got bigger, they just pumped out so many of them as they could do, depending on the character. Excuse me. So I could say at least, and I'm not kidding, you got to remember, even back then, toys weren't really that cheap. And even the Transformers now, if you go to Toys R Us or any other store, they go $20 and up. Now, from what I remember, and of course those G1 Transformers were freaking pricey as hell. Of course, even way more pricier, but that's a whole nother thing. My parents easily, and I'm really trying to remember this, they got me, out of those 28, they must have gotten me at least 16. 16, over half of the first generation Transformers. And of course, when you're a kid, the first thing you do is you rip open the box or tear off the box just to get that figure. And I'm surprised now at what those go for now. I had Optimus Prime, I had Megatron, Soundwave, Bumblebee, I'm trying to remember, Jazz, Mirage, that was another one who was one of my favorites. And every so often, as those are the highlights of the ones I remembered. And of course, when the Dinobots came out, I got Grimlock, that was one of them. I had a couple of Insecticons. Like I said, it's a little slightly fuzzy, but that was one of those Christmases. And honestly, for 2 weeks straight, as soon as I came home from school or whenever I had a chance, I would get all my Transformers watch TV and play with it, play along as I would, watch a television show. And one of those other things, and this actually goes back about a good 3 years earlier, was my parents getting me an Atari 2600, Light Sixer, if I'm not mistaken. But one of the things, that did survive after I had a apartment fire back in 1987, just right after Christmas of all things too. It was early 87, if I'm not mistaken. It was actually January of 87, just right after Christmas. We were visiting a relative, near the border of Canada. And the very first thing my mom says to us, "Oh, I'm going to take a long shower." And as we're walking into the building, we started smelling smoke, and that wasn't, we just thought something was going on. Needless to say, our hallway was totally blacked out from the smoke. So we really were now getting concerned what the hell happened. And of course, my uncle and grandma told us it was our apartment that burned down. It was just our single apartment. That's another thing for another long story I will get into more. It's way too much to explain here. But for a good 6-7 months, we lived with my grandmother next door to our burned out building and burned out apartment. And where the fire was mainly contained was in me and my sister's room, and pretty much all my video games, all my toys, gone. But from some of the stuff they salvaged, I'll show you really quick here. If I could actually find it, I may have moved it. And yeah, this is gonna be, like I said, when this is off the cuff, people, I wasn't kidding. Yeah, one of those things, even though I didn't have the system for it anymore, for the Atari 2600, I may have talked about this before, was Pitfall. Now, of course, you see here, this was signed by David Crane. I actually brought this to CGE a couple years ago. Had him sign the manual, cart, and box. So this is one of the only things I have left from that part of my childhood before the, after the fire. So, yeah, and of course, I believe it was late 85, when the Nintendo came out, when the market was being tested within the U.S. They had it at Toys R Us, and my mom grabbed the deluxe set. Of course, that was lost in the fire too. I had Rob the Robot, Duck Hunt, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Contra. I'm trying to remember. Kung Fu, Blades of Steel. I think, and I believe those were the only games I had at the time, because of course there was a video store a few blocks away from me that also sold tons of NES games, which is yet another thing I will talk about down the line. But that's just, some of my Christmas memories. And of course, as I've gotten a little older, I did steer away from gaming, working, doing my thing. But, retro gaming to me always holds a lot of memories. And I totally, just have a thing for it. I have to, I got to be a part of it in a way, just because I grew up with it. I have great memories. I mean, so many, quite a few stories I'll share with you down the line. But, it's kind of weird and bland as I've been talking about this. I'm sorry. It's just the old Xbox 360 here. And, of course, you got a Yuletide 8-bit log going there. But, just a little bit of a Christmas vlog thing I wanted to throw out there, people. And like I said, I hope everybody out there is having a very safe and happy holiday out there. And hopefully for 2014, it'll be even better for a lot of us out there within the community. And yeah, as you see right there, that's about it, people. So I'm going to hit the sack. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my evening with my family. Hope you will too. Thank you very much for watching. Also, feel free to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and over on Daily Motion, which, depending on these new YouTube copyright rules, as you see right there, it's still repeating. But anyway, yeah, just feel free to check me out. All the links down at the bottom. Feel free to follow me on either networking site if you are either on, or both of them if not. I'll try to put up what I can here on YouTube, and that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Have a great night and take care. Cheers.